Thank you. Now, scientists have suggested a link between heading the football and long-term brain damage in former footballers. In the first study of its kind, researchers from University College London and Cardiff University examined the brains of 6 players known for their skill at heading the ball, all of whom developed dementia in later life. Well, I've been speaking to neuroscientist Dr. Michael Gray from the University of East Anglia, and I asked him about his concerns.
I think it's really important that people realize that there is no smoking gun here. What we're arguing, though, is that there's mounting evidence. We've got evidence now from American football, from ice hockey, from rugby, and now from football, which is showing the same thing.
Do we need to immediately think again and start changing the game, particularly for younger people?
I think for very young children, we do need to look at this very seriously. And I am definitely an advocate of not heading the ball in very young children. And the other big issue for me is we need to look at the mechanism of the injury. So what's effectively happening is the brain is wobbling around inside the cranium when it strikes another object or another object strikes it. And that wobbling is causing damage to the tissue inside the brain.
To summarise, if you had a son or a daughter going out on Saturday to play a game of football, would you be telling them to try and avoid heading the ball?
Yes, I absolutely would.
Well, I'm joined now in studio by Tim Waring, who coaches youth football at TWC Sports based in East Belfast. And I'm also joined on the line by former Northern Irish League footballer Liam Beckett. Good evening to you both.
Hello, Declan.
Tim, I'm going to start with you. Are you concerned by these findings?
Well, as you say, we run a programme here in Northern Ireland, and we also have an elite clinic that we do each year out in America. So we had heard of this going back a number of months ago, that it's quite interesting in America that if a child under the age of 10 deliberately heads the ball, there's actually a free kick is awarded against them. We also know there's
so it's considered a foul, basically?
Yeah, basically, which we find quite unusual, because heading is such a big part of the game, and we have some of our players at our club at TW Braga that just love the head of football, Now, so we find that interesting in America. There's even a restriction on heading for 11 to 13-year-olds as well. Now, what we find, our philosophy as a club, with our younger players in the age of 5, 6, right up to the age of 9 and 10, we would encourage our goalkeepers just to roll the ball out or pass the ball out, so we try and always aim for them to play with the football on the floor. That's just part of our philosophy. But obviously
you don't ban heading.
We don't ban heading, no, because we simply can't dictate how other teams play either. So yes. It obviously then comes part and parcel of the game.
But given what you've just heard there with Dr. Gray, would you advocate perhaps a ban on heading the football for, say, children under 11 or 12 or whatever age the scientists would agree on?
Certainly, as a coach, as an academy director, I do have really a social that we have to look after children and their welfare, so obviously if this is coming through, that it is scientifically proven. We also maybe got to remember that the balls that they used in the game in the 40s, 50s, 60s was a lot heavier leather, and obviously if it rained, the ball becomes a lot heavier as well. But we will always look out for our children and go maybe by the advice of the Irish Football Association.
Liam, can I ask you, of course we don't have any really definitive studies on this at the moment, but can I just ask you, is it something you're aware of anecdotally amongst your peers or maybe older retired players? Is it something that you've seen?
It's something I've heard of. There's no doubt about it, Declan. And to be honest, it's very difficult to draw a comparison, because I would like a more current prognosis in terms of, the game has changed it's changed so much over the last 50 years. Going back to the players, I've been aware of this for quite some time, to be honest, right back to the late great Jeff Haskell, the former West Bromwich Albion player, who was renowned for heading the ball, and his family still maintain that was very contributory to his brain damage later on in life, and he passed away sadly. But back in the day, when we're going back 50 years, the ball was much heavier.
Yes, Tim was just telling us that.
And the pitches were so much worse than they are nowadays. They're like snooker tables nowadays, so therefore the emphasis is to play football on the ground much more. It's not in the air half as much or anywhere near as much as it used to be 50 years ago.
Liam,
when those big heavy footballs were being headed, Declan. So
you were a defender.
It's difficult to draw a comparison.
You were a defender in your day, heading the ball a great deal. Do you have any concerns about potential damage?
No, I don't, honestly. As I say, I would like a more current prognosis on the modern day football, and the fact that the heading of the ball is a lot less now than it used to be. I think when these tests are being carried out on players of the era that they're talking about, I have 2 sons who play football. I will be encouraging them to do so, and if they head the ball, so be it. And I would do likewise with their sons as well when they come along, and some have. I would have until there's a current proper prognosis of a current football and current playing conditions.
Yeah.
I would reserve judgment, Declan, and that's not being irresponsible. I think we need to take heed. Of course, we do.
Yes. Let me just bring Tim. Let me just bring Tim in very briefly. Finally, Liam. Tim, will you be changing anything about the way you coach this weekend, given what you've heard?
Not so much. I mean, we have that philosophy that, as Liam says, we want to play the football on the floor and to play nice football, but it's not something that's going to come immediately in until we get more advice. I mean, what we also have to be realistic with, these children won't have the same contact time as what the professionals did, that do it day in, day out, that are playing to a much higher intensity and, obviously are training daily, where the kids won't be doing as much as what the seniors and the professionals are.
Okay, listen, Tim Waring and Liam Beckett, thank you both very much for joining us.